Easy Sports Talk Podcast. I am one of your co-hosts. I'm Javon J. Love Adams, and with me is a man who not only played professional baseball, but he also played in the National Football League in that first Super Bowl bound team for the Atlanta Falcons. I'm talking about none other than Ed Easy Smith. What is good, my brother?
Up though, Jay, it's the most wonderful time
Oh my
of
goodness.
the
Oh my goodness.
getting
And
it
I
in.
have to say, in just in if you hear any barking, it's because these little dogs that are running around right here. But anyway, but yeah, so it is the most wonderful time. We do have a great show lined up for you. We're gonna talk about the results from that super wild card weekend,
Wild card.
and then I want to get your thoughts on is there an art to offensive and defensive play calling? There was another one that I put on there about music, but we'll wait till Friday because that's like a fun Friday type of thing that
Okay.
we'll get into. But first off, with around this time of year, there's always that the movement that happens. There's the dominoes that fall oftentimes in college football. So let's start with where one coach ends up leaving or getting fired for whatever the attrition one way or the other, and then all of a sudden the other dominoes start to fall. And my ultimate question for you is: do you fault coaches for job hopping? So give the scenario that's happened this season more recently. Saban decides to retire. Alabama goes and gets Washington's DeBoer. Then so Washington has an open spot. So Washington goes to Arizona, University of Arizona, picks their coach. What is it? Goodness, picks Jed Fish, I believe.
Yeah.
Picks Fish. Fish goes to Washington. Then so Arizona says, "What do we do?" And they go pick the coach from, just so happens, my alma mater, San Jose State, Brennan. So Brennan goes to Arizona. Now San Jose State's gonna whatever. That's the but you see how those dominoes fall. Do you fault coaches for leaving? Because around this time, I know you listen to Dan Patrick like I do. You probably listen more often than I do recently. But around this time of year, he typically has not his rant, but he voices his opinion on his disdain for how coaches talk about a family atmosphere, about loyalty, so forth and so on, and then they jump to the next lucrative opportunity. And I wanted your thoughts on: do you fault college coaches for job hopping?
It's a tough situation, Jay. Why do people get into any business that they get into? They get in it to elevate themselves,
Yeah,
find better for their families, to find a better job, that type of thing. And when these coaches take these jobs, I'm sure a lot of them have every intent to be there for the kids, but we all know it's a business, man. And what I don't like is, some of these coaches, it's almost like they are like snake oil salesmen.
mm,
They talk in your face, and we know all the words that are coming out their mouth. Like was they when they're lying is when they open their mouth, right?
right.
But then they try to fool us and play us for stupid, like we don't have any common sense. When Saban abruptly retires, we all know one thing: somebody's got to take the job, right? And for some of those coaches, that is the mecca. That is the epitome of hustling up. You know,
Yeah,
for if you're coaching college football and you had any tie to Alabama, they were looking at some of the particular coaches, and man, any one of them would want that position. So I don't blame them for taking it. It's for all the years. I think the biggest problem I had was for all the years, like because the coaches had all the power and they put their thumb on the kids, and the kids weren't making any money, and it was all about the coaches, and they would preach about loyalty and this, that, and the other thing. Now, with the kids in the portal, we're seeing their, I won't say lack of loyalty, but we're seeing their ability to move around as well. And
right.
it's like leapfrog, bro. I mean, from one year to the next, we got kids that seem like they've been in college for 7 years, playing for 8 different colleges.
True.
So it's all, I can't point the finger at the coaches, because I now can point the finger at the players as well. So
Okay.
none of it. The NCAA in itself is a farce. We all know that. For years they didn't play the players. It's all about student athlete. Yeah, my behind. And like I said, these coaches, they'll go into a kid's living room, tell mom and dad, "Hey, I'm gonna be here for 4 years," knowing doggone well the first offer that comes around, if it's better and it's for him and his family, he's on the first train smoking. So,
Yeah.
even when I was playing many, many, many years ago, I got the speeches when they came and sat in our living room. And for, and all, even when you're talking about playing time and this, that, and the other, yeah, little Jimmy, he's going to be our, and as soon as they get you on the campus, it's like, okay, get in line. And they'll, like I said, once they got you, they got you. So it's one of those things where, it is what it is. Somebody has to take the jobs, Jay. Somebody has to move into those positions. I do think here's my thing. I think there should be more penalty for the coaches because what's happening is they're putting buyouts for these colleges, right?
Mm-hmm.
So say the guy from Washington, he's got a $12 million buyout.
Yeah.
Not a penny's coming out of his pocket.
Yeah.
What's happening is the University of Alabama is paying his buyout to get him over there to pay him more money. There's no penalty for him.
Yeah.
And then Washington's like, okay, reluctantly, we're going to let you go, but don't forget you got to pay us that $12 million before you leave. So even they're getting fat on it. And then what do? Like you said, they go to Arizona's coach. Hey, you want to come over and take this job? So it's just necessary evil. There should be more penalty for the coaches. Like, hey, let's make a portion of their salary come out of that buyout. I bet you a few of them would do less jumping around. If say it was, hey, you got a $10 million buyout, you're responsible for 40% of it. Well, wait a minute. I'm only making $8 million over there. Well, that's not our problem. You got to pay a percent. If you want to leave, it's got to come out of your base salary. Let's do something like that because otherwise, like I said, there's no penalty. And what's stopping them from, like I said, just lying out there through their teeth. So until there's a penalty of some sort for the coaches, not buyouts for the colleges and universities and the other ones getting rich. Otherwise, it's just going to continue to be what it is, to eternity.
All right. So Easy Sports Talk Show podcast. He's Ed Smith. I'm Javon Adams. So let's get into this. So because it is the most wonderful time of the year for you, we had two games on Saturday, 2 games on Sunday, 2 games on Monday because of the weather in Buffalo. So what was the best of that NFL Super Wild Card weekend for you? I'll go first because I did embrace the chaos a little bit, man. I did. it was kind of cool to see Philadelphia they imploded in front of a national audience, and it's full of question marks as we record this. Head coach, what is it, Sirianni? He's still in place in Philadelphia. I don't think that they should necessarily fire him, but man, something has to change. And that I mentioned a couple times now. I mentioned it on the radio show as well that we do every Saturday from 1 to 3 Eastern, that the Saban policy, the Saban grows, finds assistants that is grooms them in a positive way. When I say grooms them in a positive way to be able to step into, to take on the next opportunity, because you understand that if you have success, that your assistants, your defensive and offensive coordinators are going to be plucked and given an opportunity to coach a team. But that's my vote for the best of the NFL Super Wild Card weekend. What about yours?
I'm right there with you with Philly, but bruh, did you see Jerry Jones in the booth up there during that game? They were down 27-0 at one point.
Yeah.
And you talking about joy in my heart. I'm sitting there. I'm sitting there. I mean, this billionaire looking down on the field with all the boys walking around with the star on the helmet, right?
Yeah.
And what does that get you every year, bro? All this beating his chest, doing all the interviews. You got all, and this is our year. And for that to fall apart like that against a young team, youngest team in the NFL, the Green Bay Packers, came in there and whooped that behind. And to look, every now and then they flash the camera to Jerry, and all I could do was laugh, bro, because that just shows you money can't buy your love. It can't buy you Super Bowls either. And I'll be doggone. That was, you talking about just happiness in my heart. I was just like, that they getting exactly what they deserve. And I love the fact it was Green Bay, young team, upcoming. That everybody's been riding Jordan Love all this time. And for them to come out there and play the way they did and beat those Cowboys, that was something special.
You say money can't buy Super Bowls, but I think there's been at least one time where it has, and that's with the LA Rams, when the Rams, and then they had to tear it
Oh
all
yeah,
down
yeah.
afterwards. But to your point, and if Jerry could find out, if he could bottle whatever the Rams did to win that Super Bowl and try to copy and paste that, he definitely would, because he did look at his wits' end, I suppose is the best way to describe it.
I
Because
would have hated to be in that booth with him. That
yeah,
you talk about uncomfortable.
don't crack
That
no jokes around there
oh
either.
my
Because you used to having
god.
a side conversation. Hey, did you see the Dave Chappelle? Oh yeah, it was funny as could be. Who said that? Not me.
That would be so uncomfortable to be sitting up there with all that food and drink and everything, and everybody joyous at the start of it. Then all of a sudden the roof caves in, and there's nothing you can do when you're sitting up there with all your millions of dollars watching that poop show going on down there on the field. I mean, I bet he wanted to fire everybody at halftime, bro.
Man,
And you got to sit there and take that one. That was
yeah,
joyous right there.
the defense really. Dak, yes, Dak played poorly, but that defense, my goodness,
Yeah,
woo,
plenty of
woo.
blame to go around for everybody, bro.
Yeah.
And what's bad about those, Jay, is when like the season comes to an abrupt end like that, and for some of the teams, it was like, hey, like for the Rams, hey, man, we gave it a shot. We weren't even supposed to be here. Great season, hey, we're gonna build on this. When you come in the locker room after that one at Dallas, and then you got Jerry coming in the locker room, and man, you talk abruptly. We're supposed to be playing next week. We're supposed to be playing the weekend after that. NFC Championship game at the least, and for it to end on Wildcard weekend. And hey, everybody report tomorrow. Exit interviews and physicals. Man, you talking about that is devastating.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's a rough one, bro. That's rough.
And we'll get into the matchups on this coming weekend. We'll get into that on Friday. But he is Ed Smith. I am Javon Adams. This is the Easy Sports Talk Show podcast. We do this Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Make sure you also check us out. Go to easysportstalk.com. You can find everything that we do. We do the Believe in Arizona Cardinals podcast. We do it Mondays and Thursdays. This is the off season for the Cardinals, so we'll probably be doing that. We'll hit you. We'll hit you here, not with the same consistency, but things that come about as a result of what's going on with the Cardinals as they prepare for the free agency and the draft. And then, of course, every Saturday from 1 to 3 Eastern, we have our national terrestrial radio show on SportsMap Radio. Go to sportsmapradio.com. In the upper right-hand corner, you can either press that little play icon or you can download the app for your Android or mobile device. And yeah, so that we do this Monday, Wednesday, Friday as well. So let's get into the last one of the day. What is there an art to offensive and defensive play calling? Because watching what Golden State with what Green Bay did on when they played Dallas, I was impressed, because it just seemed like they were really trying to take it. They looked at what their tendencies were and tried to do something a little bit different in order to be able to set some things up there. And I thought I was impressed with the game plan. But is there an art to offensive and defensive play calling?
Absolutely, especially on the offensive side, because what most great coordinators do is they script. I don't know if a lot of people know this. The first 15 to 20 plays are scripted by the offensive coordinator. And what that means is we're going to run, and this is the first 15 plays, depending on situation too. You're not going to run a play action pass for 20 yards if it's second and one, or a third and one or something like that. But these are the first 15 plays. Get these in your head. We're going to run these to see what we're getting from the other side, meaning how they're going to cover these particular patterns, how they're going to defense these particular formations and packages, meaning if we come out in 3 wide, what are they doing? If we come out with 2 tight ends, 2 backs, what are they doing? So that's a script at the beginning to see what the other opposition is going to do. And what you're doing, you're kind of setting the tone for, okay, these are the things that are going to work. This is how they're attacking this. When we come into this, we might be a man short because they're bringing pressure. When we get into this look, so it's almost like it's a little bit of a sparring match between the offense and defensive coordinator. Then what happens is you start to get into a groove after those first 15. You see what's working, what's not, what might work if we do it out of a different formation or package. And that's why you see all the adjustments on the side. Hey, we're going to run this, but this time what we're going to do is we're going to run it and we need motion on the backside to do this, or instead of you guys doubling to this, do this. So there's all the adjustments and things like that. The problem we get with some of these coaches, Jay, one, they don't know how to script, or they don't know how to read the script, and they don't know how to adjust. And the great offensive coordinators, they adjust. They, like I said, that's why they're always over there talking, moving guys around, doing this. This worked. Hey, we're going to run this again, but we're going to run it out of this formation and out of this package. And I want you to do that, because if it's working, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You're running something and it's like, wow, we gassed them on that. Hey, let's try that again, but let's disguise it a little bit, make them think, we got 3 wide in here now, but you guys can block on the edge and do this and cut off on the backside. Let's run the same play. So they start doing stuff. And when you talk about, there's an art to it, because like I said, if it's working, just keep doing it. If it's not, then you make the adjustments. On the defensive side, there's an art to it, but it's more reactionary. In my opinion, I'm an offensive guy, but defensively, you have to adapt. You're the one reading their pack. Like, they're coming in and all of a sudden now, they're in 3 wide. They're doing this. We were going nickel against that, or we were going with our base. Hey, we have to adjust. Maybe now we go nickel or dime. And for anybody listening, that's bringing extra DBs in to combat, their smaller formation or smaller packages and stuff like that. So, there's definitely an art to it. Once they smell blood in the water on either side of the ball and they start figuring out what is working and what isn't. Like, for instance, what Tampa Bay did to Philly the other night, they saw that Philly was not picking up those. They were getting instant pressure on Hurts, and he was not able to sit back there and go through his reads and progressions. They just never stopped. They were like, well, until they make a change, we're just going to keep throwing the kitchen sink at him. But we're going to do it smart, because Bowles is so smart. We're not going to show you what we're doing. We're going to disguise it, and we're also going to mix it up. We're going to do some zone blitzes. And this. So once they figure something out, if you don't make and that's why we're constantly talking about adjustments. You have to, the smart ones are able to make adjustments on the fly. If you think you're going to go in there with a game plan and run that game plan through the entire game, which some do, and you can see how they just can't make changes, and that's when you it becomes so easy on whichever side of the ball is attacking or having the success. And so there's definitely an art to it, and there's a science behind the whole thing. And and sometimes they know a play is not going to work, and I guarantee you, what they'll do though, they need to run it to show you this formation to set something up for later on. Well, everybody thinks, well, why don't you just run the daggone ball up the middle? Every now and then one of those pops, but what you're trying to do, you have the blocking scheme and everything, but you're setting some other stuff up. You're setting your play action up. You're setting a jet sweep up, because you had the fake motion going. There's a rhyme to every reason that is done out there and I'm talking offensively, but defensively as well. So there's definitely a science to it, and there's a reason why those guys get paid to do their job very well, and eventually a lot of them are tapped to do the head coaching job. We all know that every coordinator is not meant to be a head coach, though, but that mistake will be made till the last day on this earth.
True indeed. He is Ed Smith. I am Javon Adams. We do this 3 times a week. Make sure you tell a friend about what we have going on here at the Easy Sports Talk Show podcast. So as we always say around this time, we'll see you on Friday, since this is Wednesday. But as we always like to say around this time, you can